I'll just say, I know Joe Lacob. I talk to him all the time. He wants to win a championship more desperately than any of these fans do, and they kind of did it with this Jimmy Butler thing. It might not work ideally. They're not stuck with him forever.
I think Deebo might have a little bit of a better year in a contract, show me something year, but it just feels like they can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
He's a declining player at 29 that the front office is kind of pissed at too.
On the anniversary of the double bang game in Oklahoma City, he drops a season high in 12 threes and is a one-man army down in Orlando. Quentin Post took the role of running mate with Steph Curry last night. He was impressive. Look, this Butler thing has the arrow pointed in the right direction. Kuminga's not even back yet. Steve Kerr insists on playing with Joy. We haven't seen Joy in a long time. We're seeing it now. Tim, what are we looking at? How substantive do you think the end of this Warriors season is going to become for us here?
Yeah, I mean, I think put in the terms that they were using before the Butler trade, Steph just said he wants to play meaningful basketball. He wants to be relevant. And it sounded like kind of echoey back then. Like, can you really do that? Is this happening? Because it wasn't real relevant back in, late January, mid-January, all that period. They were just around 500. They're a very mediocre team. They've put themselves into relevance. They are a relevant basketball team for the rest of the season, forever long it goes. I know the standard is higher than that, but that was very, very important for them to get to, for Steph to get to. Do you expect this to get to a title? I don't know. I don't think so. These are older guys. You're not going to. Jimmy Butler kind of threw an egg up last night. It didn't matter because of what Steph and other guys were doing, but that happens in a playoff game. That might be a problem, and it does happen. Steph might throw an egg up. Draymond might throw, some problematic games up there. They're older players going through a long playoff run, assuming they're getting in playoffs. I think we all assume that now. But they're dangerous. They're always dangerous with Steph Curry. That was always the point. And people from outside or even angry Warriors fans would get mad at me when I say, you got Steph Curry, you got a shot. Like you'd go in a playoff series with Steph Curry like they did against Sacramento 2 years ago. And they knocked off the 3 seed because Steph just went crazy in Game 7. This is important to understand. You did need to add other pieces around him. The Jimmy Butler thing just has kind of reorganized, kind of winnowed down, kind of really focused the whole thing. He's not doing spectacular things, but that's what Steve Kerr loves. He's doing basic things. He's just being a supporting player. He can go get free throws. He can go stand up and beat help side defense. They're going to need a 36-point game or two out of him down the stretch. There's no question. And he hasn't come close to that. I mean, we'll see. He promises that he still has that in him, and playoff Jimmy has been a real thing. I don't dispute that that's probably out there, but we haven't seen it and hasn't been in him for a while, but we'll see. I think just Steph Curry needed that support. It's more like emotional support almost. It's basketball support and it's emotional support. There's other people here. I'm not out here alone. And then we've seen the elevation from Steph for that. It's since Clay stopped ceased to be a really dominant potential player. Steph hadn't had that. And, they still won a title in 22 because they had other pieces kind of fit in perfectly in 2022, but it was really hard to duplicate that. Now he's got somebody like, okay, I can just turn the ball over to him. 5-minute span, Jimmy, run this thing. I'm not worried. I'm not having to go crazy every other minute I'm out there because I know you can, just keep things going. We don't get slaughtered. And it's a mental thing, I think, for Steph too. Like it's an easiness that he can approach every game, and then within that, then he can explode. Then
the through line of Warriors' success and failure, the through lines of the entirety of the Steve Kerr, Steph Curry era have been free throws are non-existent and turnovers happen way too much. This is even in championship years. So, they sort of convinced themselves that these things were less important to shore up than they really are. Jimmy has shored up these two topics more than I think Kevin Durant would have even shored him up. I'm not saying that he's better than Kevin, but it feels like he is the right fit. And because of the right fit, less burden goes on to Podziemski to be that right fit, and he can find his level. Moody, find your level. You don't have to be more or less than what you really are. Everything's fitting better since Jimmy showed up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, listen, Steve Kerr's wanted them to be able to draw fouls and get to the, and convert at the rim. They just haven't had the players to do that. And what they have I don't know if it's dawned on them, but became very evident, is they could not survive without it. They had so much talent in the past where you didn't necessarily need that stuff. You didn't need grinders, just somebody who slammed into somebody's shoulders, get the foul, stop the game, allow yourself to set the defense, shoot the 2 free throws, get the other team in foul trouble. They need that now because they don't have that other stuff. They don't have Kevin Durant. They don't have Andre Iguodala in his prime. They certainly don't have Draymond Green in his prime. They need other ways to play. And they thought they did it with Dennis Schroeder. They really did. Like, not this level, but they thought he was going to be a successful player in another way. He was terrible. I was the one saying they should get him. So I'm going to put this on, whatever. It theoretically could have worked. He was awful.
The guy that they traded for isn't the guy who showed up.
No, it was, I don't know. That happens sometimes. We always have to, understand that. But look at Jimmy Butler shows up here and it's just boom. That's who he is. The Warriors take off with him. His game is his game. Dennis Schroeder. There's other players. And, we talk about it on Warriors Plus Minus Marcus and I most all the time. Omri Caspi showed up in like 17 and he just stopped shooting. He couldn't shoot when he was on the team with Steph Curry and, Draymond Green and Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. Dennis Schroeder, something happened. I don't know what it was. He just got a glaze in his eyes. He could not shoot, did not want to shoot, could not finish. And that stopped them. That stopped them in their tracks. They had to try to turn it over. They did not want to give up a bunch of picks, and they wanted to give up Kuminga. They would have given up Kuminga for Durant, of course. But they did not sacrifice a ton of their future. They got Jimmy Butler. All they did was pay money, right? I talked to Joe Lacob, and he basically said, all we did was go all in on money. Didn't go on picks, didn't go all in on giving up young players. They kept most of their assets so they can still do stuff. And don't take your eye off of Kevin Durant in July. I'll just put it that way. I don't know if he'll want to come. I don't know if they'll be able to do it. This is a team that loves Kevin Durant and might try to go get him again.
How about this? If Kevin Durant says no a second time, no more jersey retirement for you, buddy. You don't get up to the rafters. We'll still put you up, but we'll put you kind of behind another thing, and you won't be able to see it. Yeah.
This is a team that still has options, that loves optionality, that wants to get into stuff. Durant isn't the only guy isn't the only guy they could be chasing. There's a Giannis, there's other guys, but that's what they love. They've done this. They've added this rocket boost. And they still haven't denied themselves the chance to do either re-sign Kuminga, which obviously could be a huge thing. You get him back this season. Let's see how it goes. I think he really could fit what they're doing now. Or you could package all this stuff, including Jimmy Butler's contract, and go get somebody else in July. This is how smart, rich teams operate. They have an advantage. It's the money. They have another advantage. It's Steph Curry. Guys want to play with him. Maximize it. Don't just sit back and say, oh, you know what? This is fine as we're going. And then again, fans can be fans. I understand that they get furious and they're not maximizing Steph Curry's prime. You think they don't want to? Like, they want to. They just had not done it successfully.
First of all, they maximized the shit out of his prime. You won 4 titles.
In 22 was 22. The championship of 22 was their answer. They won one without Kevin Durant. They kept their young guys. It's not an answer for fans. I understand fans always wanted more. And many of these fans did not go through any of the previous years where they were terrible. I get that. But I'll just say, I know Joe Lacob. I talk to him all the time. He wants to win a championship more desperately than any of these fans do. It's just, can you do it properly? Can you do it within the realm of not destroying yourself in 3 years? And they kind of did it with this Jimmy Butler thing. It might not work ideally, and he might have another blow up in a year or two. That's always possible. They're not stuck with him forever. They signed him for another year, extended him off his option year. All they did was go in money. That's what they did. That's a big thing, right? Money. That's a big thing. In their minds, it's not a big thing. So they utilize that to their advantage. Money is not that big an issue to them. So they press their advantage on money to make the bet on Jimmy Butler. And so far, 7-1. Can't say it was wrong.
I think most people watching us right now know the most of the background between the 49ers and Deebo and why this relationship is disintegrating. I am stunned that the team doesn't say, because it feels like they've made excuses to keep him around in the past. Why have they reached their point of no return now? I'm a big believer that Ray Durham's going to have a good year in a contract year and a walk year. I think Deebo might have a little bit of a better year in a contract, show me something year, but it just feels like they can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. What happened? Why did it go so sour?
I think you got, again, the split here. I'm not saying that it's two different sides. There's two separate things happening. You have the football side, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and Deebo has been one of Kyle's favorite players, period. He says it outright and saved the season in 2021. And we know how good he was that year. Got a little tense in 2022, didn't play so great after he got the contract, was better in 2023 and was terrible last year. And I just think the equation is that he's a declining player at 29 that the front office is kind of pissed at too. And 6-11 changes a lot, Damon. It really does. Like, they wanted to push to win a Super Bowl while Brock Purdy was on a rookie deal, on a super cheap rookie deal. That did not happen. And there were going to be some repercussions. I think it's been pretty stark. It's been happening faster than I'm the one writing about it. I'm kind of monitoring it. It's happened fast. Like, you can get the tone of this. I just think you've seen a souring towards deals that they regret. And I think they regret the Deebo deal also. It was a couple years ago, then they restructured it again. And then the production.
Let's talk theoretical draft here. In your mind, what would be the best way for it to play out? Are you to me, trench warfare is the theme of this draft for the 49ers if I'm them. I would love to add Drew Dolman in free agency as a center. That's a big price point. I don't know if they can do it. I would be looking D-line and O-line across the first few rounds before I started tinkering with the fun pieces who play on the outside, wide receivers, running backs, corners, linebacker. To me, it's all about trench warfare. How are you feeling they're going to approach this?
I think they're going to take a defensive lineman because that's just what they do, and they really could use one. I'm not sure 11 is the right spot for it, though, so that's why I start wondering, maybe do you start talking trade for one of these defensive ends who might be available? I wrote about that. I don't know what's going to be available. They do need to get younger. You do have to understand 11's a good pick. Just don't know that defensive lineman is the perfect pick. We'll see. I think Walter Nolan from Ole Miss seems like a body type that could fit really well in their defense. We'll see. I would go tackle. I would go offensive tackle myself, but I don't know that they have not really done that. They tend to not want to take a tackle at that premium spot unless they're sure he's an all-pro. I've heard that Penei Sewell, those guys, but there isn't one of those guys available. Certainly wouldn't be at 11. I would take a tackle. I think you need to get tackles, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You just kind of need that body type on the roster, and they're lacking there. Certainly, with Trent Williams days counting down, that means if he goes down, or if he's out for a year, if he retires, and you do not have that replacement sitting there, I don't think they're going to take a tackle. I just don't think they think what they're going to end up with at 11 would be the right move to take a tackle. My guess is a defensive lineman. My guess is maybe the second defensive tackle. I think they'd love Mason Graham from Michigan, but he's likely to go 4, 5, 6 in there. 11's a weird spot in this draft, which is why, again, I think trade it just seems to be like Tyler Warren, another tight end. You can see Shanahan kind of liking that. I am intrigued by that, but it's a little high to take a second tight end when you have George Kittle still in his prime.
It's going to change your offense an awful lot if you do.
Yeah,
you're going to be
listen, the guy scores touchdowns. The guy does a lot of interesting. I would not bash that pick if he's there and they take him. But, man, you got some holes there. You're right, line of scrimmage. Line of scrimmage is where they've won when they've been really good. They have tailed off on the defensive line for sure. When, with Bosa or when Bosa's been out, they have not been a premium defensive line. They could use something major there. And, maybe they'll decide one of these guys is the right guy at 11.
Thanks for watching. Tune into the Damon Bruce Show live on YouTube every weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.